everybody, CW here. It's time for our fourth installment. Fourth day of this 10 guns in 10 days challenge from TreeTop Outdoors. And I've got another favorite. This one here is a pretty neat one. This is a Beretta. The model is Excelsior and it's a 410. And this is not how it came new. It had quite a long barrel on it, and it was full choked. And it seems like a lot of the guns I pick up through the years, this one here was badly rusted and pitted at the muzzle. I don't know if these guns spend time standing on their muzzles in the mud or something, but it was bad, really bad. So I was going to lose the choke. I thought about having it threaded for chokes, but 410 threading for chokes back at this time, which would have been the early 90s, was just not very popular and very expensive when you could find it. So it wasn't really an option, and it really isn't today, especially in light of the fact that there's a couple of companies that are making a copy of this now with synthetic stocks, drilled and tapped with a rail, with threaded chokes for a little over $100. So as much as I like this one, I'm really considering picking one of those up for having a red dot on it. Having the synthetic stocks, a little more impervious, looks about the same. No hammerless, no hammer, internal hammer. It's got a sliding trigger block safety, and you can see it folds almost directly in half. I took it, and I'll show you some of the markings on it here. See if we can get you here so you can see. Hopefully I can get this focused. Made in Italy, and underneath the sight here it says Excelsior, but of course we can't read that. And then over on this side it says 410 gauge. Now, nothing about chamber length, because this is pretty old. I'm not sure exactly how old it is, but because it doesn't say any length on it, I'm thinking it's probably a 2.5 inch, and it was made before there was 3-inch shells. I haven't cast it and I haven't tried to measure it to see, but as you know, or you may not know, but shotgun chambers, there's a lead in them in a throat area like there is in a rifle, but there's no step. You know what I mean? There's no rigid corner that shows the end of a 3-inch chamber. So you'd have to have pin gauges to go down to measure the end of the chamber to see when the taper starts, to know when your chamber stops. So, going by just the length of this here monoblock, this is a 2.5 inch Beretta. We're right there. If we go to a 3-inch shell, here's a 3-inch shell. We're over the end of it. So that doesn't really mean much, and I really should measure it to know. But I just considered a 2.5 inch gun. So I took it, I drilled and tapped it and put a peep sight on it. And then I drilled and tapped the barrel and I put a Remington front sight on it, because the height worked out to be correct for the regulation. And I just really love this thing for handling. It's got the I believe it's Turkish walnut. It's obviously not American walnut, but I believe it's Turkish walnut. And I put a butt cuff on it just for shells. So I've got 2.5 inch shells on here. And I'll tell you, we carry birdshot in our pistols when you're hiking or, worried about snakes and that, but this is a whole lot better than any pistol with birdshot in it for use, you know, around the house, around the farm. This would be great, like in an ATV or a side-by-side where you can leave it in the vehicle, just to have it around the property. You can shoot slugs out of it. I cast, obviously you know this, I cast, but I load up my own cast ball loads, and I am shocked at some of the ballistics I can get out of those. They are screaming ahead power-wise over the factory stuff. You look at some of the factory buckshot loads. I'm talking about triple O or you know, just big balls. They're going, you know, 700, 800 feet per second, and I'm almost doubling that with book loads, and they shoot really well. The bore on most 410s, or I should say the choke on most 410s, is around 390. Now, chokes, to be full choke, it's a percentage of the bore diameter. It's not actually a number, you know what I mean? So a 12 gauge choke isn't an X amount. It isn't an X number, like it isn't, you know, 725 or 729. It's to make a full choke, it's a percentage of the bore diameter. So whatever the bore diameter is, percentage of that will give you modified, improved cylinder, you know, cylinder, improved, modified. Any of the chokes are a percentage of the bore diameter, and that's going to change. Maybe not for every single gun, but definitely for manufacturers, because the bores are going to vary. Now, I'm kind of picking at hairs here because it's going to be pretty close. You know what I mean? It's going to be pretty close across the board, manufacturers, but still, my point is 390 is the choke, the constriction of most full chokes in 410s. Pretty close. So you don't want to go any larger than that, because you would be having to squish the ball down to exit the bore. Squishing a sphere, a ball, is quite difficult. A slug is easier to squish than a ball. A ball just holds its shape. That's what's so great about a ball. So it's not great to shoot fatter than your diameter of your constriction in a shotgun when you're shooting a ball projectile. That's the reason that Foster slugs are shuttlecock shaped, and they're thin in the back so they can smush down and enlarge. The rifling that you see on them actually contributes to that as well. It better seals the bore. It's a little bit thinner. It gives the lid a place to go when it has to smush down and expand to go through chokes and things. Anyway, we're getting away from this gun, but this thing is just a lot of fun to shoot. We've got a 19-inch barrel, and with the buttstock, you can see it closes down to really nice. You could stick this in a pack. It probably weighs, it's a little bit heavy. It probably weighs 5.5 pounds, pushing 6 pounds. That plastic one, and I believe it's made by Charles Daly. Of course, it isn't really made by Charles Daly. It's probably made by, I know it's made in Turkey. Charles Daly is just an importer, so they're not actually making anything these days, but they are. Their name goes on it, and I'm really considering tracking them down to get myself one of those to end up with a screw-in choke and a Weaver rail that I can put a red dot on. And then you'd have something, plus the plastic stocks, without having to worry about banging these up or the weight of these. You know, so that whole gun would be much lighter than this. And I could do the same deal here with a clamp on front and this and put a sling on it. So here we go. So this is my 4th installment of Timmy from TreeTop Outdoors 10 Guns in 10 Days Challenge. And this one is a Beretta Excelsior. Hope you enjoyed it. I really like this gun. It's the, like I said, it's the one that the new ones are styled after. And the design is really neat. Got the trigger up there to release the barrel. It's a really thin, nice profile. It's easy to carry, and the fact that it folds up, I think think it's just cooler than all get out. God bless everybody. CW out.